Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Jenny Halpin, and joining us today from the Australian Army is Warrant Officer Class 1, Kim Owen. This evening, we warmly welcome, representing the Air Force Association, Flight Lieutenant Richard Caesar Thwaites, retired, the delegation representing the ADF Sport and ADF Creative Arts Association, and the delegation attending from the Department of Home Affairs. As always, we welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by visitors to the memorial and students on behalf of Piercedale Primary School visiting from Piercedale in Victoria. Now, if you are able, could I please invite you to stand and join in singing the National Anthem.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are one and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil. Our home is God by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains, then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Students and those who require a seat, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Flight Sergeant Francis Charles Langdon. Francis Langdon was born on the 30th of March 1924 in Ostomere, New South Wales, to Robert and Alice Langdon. He had 3 sisters, Iris, Elaine and Nola, and 3 brothers, Bob, Leslie and Norman. Their father was a gold buyer and salesman. Francis attended Crow's Nest Central School and was fond of hockey and swimming. In his intermediate certificate, he received a first-class pass in maths and technical drawing. After leaving school, he took night classes and worked as a clerk with the Prudential Assurance Company. On the 10th of October 1942, Langdon enlisted in the Royal Australian Air Force, aged 18. He was trained as a navigator and observer, receiving his observer's badge in May 1943. The following month, he was made sergeant. Langdon embarked for overseas service from Brisbane on the 6th of September 1943, arriving in the UK in October. As part of the Empire Air Training Scheme, he was one of almost 27,500 RAAF pilots, navigators, wireless operators, air gunners and air bomb aimers, who throughout the course of the war joined Royal Air Force squadrons or Australian squadrons based in Britain. Further specialist training followed in England, and in December, Langdon was promoted to Flight Sergeant. On the 4th of October 1944, he was posted to number 463 Squadron, RAAF, as part of Bomber Command. The squadron flew the 4-engine Avro Lancaster heavy bomber. On the night of the 28th of October 1944, Bomber Command launched a major bombing raid on the U-boat pens at Bergen in Norway. Flight Sergeant Langdon was the bomb aimer on board his Lancaster, which took off from the Royal Air Force Base at Waddington shortly before 10:30 p.m. The raid was largely unsuccessful, as poor visibility meant that most crews could not see the target. Of the 15 aircraft that number 463 Squadron committed to the mission, Langdon's Lancaster was the only one that failed to return. It was later determined that the aircraft had crashed into the sea near the target. Those killed in the crash with Flight Sergeant Francis Langdon were fellow Australians, Flying Officer Andrew Lay, Warrant Officer John Boyle, and Flight Sergeant Colin Kenny, as well as British Airman Warrant Officer John McIntyre and Sergeants John McCanish and Eric Booth. Only Warrant Officer McIntyre managed to bail out of the aircraft, but his parachute failed to open and he did not survive. He was buried in the Bergen Church Cemetery. The rest of the crew have no known grave. Francis Langdon is commemorated on the memorial to the missing at Runnymede in Surrey. He was 20 years old. 2 of Langdon's brothers, Leslie and Norman, also enlisted in the Second World War, both serving with the RAAF, and both survived the war. Flight Sergeant Francis Langdon's name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my left, amongst almost 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. His photo is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Flight Sergeant Francis Charles Langdon, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozieres or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of our director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today. We wish you all a very pleasant evening.